Kaivalya
Namaste. Welcome to Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam, another Kaivalya Marga class. We're going to continue learning the Om. Before that, let's start with a simple Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. So, thank you for joining. Thank you for being part of this program. Thank you for giving me this honor to share some of these wonderful lessons in spirituality. As always, whenever I remember, I begin with a disclaimer. All of these are based on my experiences and what I have practiced, what I have learned. I'm just sharing it as a fellow traveler, as a friend in the past, just sharing, hey, listen, this is what's happening to me, this is what I think it is, this is what I read, this is what I experienced, this is what I believe. And so please take it in that sense. I hope I don't sound like this is the only way to reach divinity within you, or this is the marga, this is the only way to practice the Om. This is how I enjoyed practicing it. This is how it revealed itself to me. The Om revealed itself to me as I sat in Prashant Nilayam and I practiced it weeks after weeks, months after months, years after years actually. So it is with that reverence and a sense of deep humility that I'm sharing these lessons with you. And as we go along, all the lessons that I'm going to share, all my perspectives are based on my own personal experiences. To some extent, they are also substantiated by yoga scriptures, to a great extent actually. There are a lot of it you may not find in any book or in any online resource. So bear with me and always take all of these, as the saying goes, with a pinch of salt, saying, okay, this is his experience, may not be mine. That's a good way to approach. But keep an open mind and listen, because these are genuine experiences. I have no other intention of sharing these other than merely being an instrument to share. This is what I feel I have to do. This is what I feel is important, that before my life ends in this lifetime, whatever I've learned and practiced in the last 40, 50 years, and as I go along, I want to start begin sharing and leave behind a legacy. So maybe in my own next lifetime, I might come back and begin to listen if these things are still around. Anyway, with these thoughts, I'm here, and it's always a privilege to talk about these wonderful thoughts. That's these mantras, these especially the Om, has been and is the very crux of Sanatana Dharma, of yogic practice, of spiritual sadhana, of any kind, whether it is bhakti yoga or karma yoga, or whether it is the yoga of wisdom. All of that begins and ends in this wonderful mantra, the Om. And so I couldn't think of any better way to start this path, this Kaivalya Marga, than by explaining and sharing with you my experiences and my perspectives on the Om. Because as the day began in Puttaparthi, as I mentioned, we started with the Om. So the entire spiritual path to me began by first asking, what is this? Why are we chanting this Om 21 times every morning? And as I practiced, as I continued my yoga practice and meditation, all of that, revelations came one after the other. I was guided very beautifully, very subtly to these understanding of chakras. And I found that chanting the Om kept my conscious knowledge of all these chakras and what senses are connected to them and so on. So it gets more complicated, the connection of chakras and all of that to the elements, the chakras, the sense organs, all of them. One by one, we are going to add as we go along. First, let's finish the basic understanding. So we are still on some of these, on the chakras and understanding centers of consciousness, as we call it. It is called chakra because it is constantly dynamic. It's not a static place. It's not a dead horizon or a dead field of consciousness. It's an alive place, each of these. And to a large extent, we tend to limit this understanding to some kind of, as if it is somewhere located in the spine, somewhere, some mystical center, if you will. As if it is located there, and then we go searching for it, and then we feel some tingling sensation, and we say, oh, my chakra is open. The center of consciousness is far more than that. Far, far more than that. For example, the way one would understand it is like this. If you take a deep breath and look around you, right? You look around you, you find this home, you find furniture, you find the sofa you're sitting on, you're watching this on a computer or a phone or a tablet or whatever, and you're watching that, and you're holding and you're looking at your hands and your body, and everything here is senses are, the light is reflecting from objects, so you're able to see them. You're smelling the air, so the nostrils are giving you some information, the ears are giving you some information. You touch something and you know, okay, this exists here, there is an object here, right? So you begin to feel a sense of you being in this reality. You're part of this, right? This is how we are created. This is how you and I'm sorry, I was looking at the microphone above because I got a new microphone and that caught my attention. So I was looking at the microphone and talking, and I realized that something is going wrong. I'm not looking into the lens. So anyway, so we are looking around and we are caught with, we feel we are part of this. So we talk of this world, we talk of this reality. What is this reality? This reality is, I'm giving an example of what a chakra is. This reality is a reflection, a reaction, and a resound of your senses. What? All of this that you see, feel, touch, hear, smell, all of this. And in that you build relationships, you fall in love, you fight, you lose, you enter into business, all of that, right? The entire dimension, this physical dimension that we talk about. All of this is information coming to us through senses. And all of our consciousness, therefore, is a reflection of a couple of chakras, predominantly the second chakra, and to some extent the first chakra, the Mooladhara chakra. So you would say 30% of Mooladhara, another 60% of Swadhisthana, that is 90%. And at 10% you get these creative insights, you get talents to express dance, music and all of that, just 10% of the chakras above that. And in that you have Manipuraka chakra and all of that. I'm just giving, don't take these numbers literally, but giving you an idea of the importance of which chakra is operational for us. Therefore, this is the effect of Swadhisthana. What am I trying to explain here? So when these chakras, when you enter into another center of consciousness, a whole different reality opens up. That is when you understand that chakra is truly opening and invite. It's a whole different world altogether. You perceive a different reality. You might understand it as mystical experiences in meditation. Partly, those are little doors opening, inviting you, giving you trailers, giving you little glimpses. But it's a whole different experience. Then you look around in three-dimensional, you'll see a completely different level of existence there. So we will understand this slowly as we go along. But I'm setting the basic framework for a deeper understanding. That even if I sound like chakras here and this and throat, these are reference points so that you and I can begin even understanding what is it. Suddenly if we throw open this abstract concepts of entering a different dimension, a different world altogether, almost all of us will switch off. It is exactly the same way. We need symbols, and in Tantra, Kundalini is part of Tantra, and Tantra is not a bad thing. Tantra, there's a the Dakshina Marga, the right path of Tantra, and the left path of Tantra. There's a Vama Marga and the Dakshina Marga. I'm talking about the Dakshina Marga Tantra, the right side path or the right hand path, and the left hand path. There are two paths to Tantra. We'll not talk about the left hand path for now. If context permits and all of that, we'll explore that. I have very, very, very little experience in the left hand path. The right hand path is symbolic. Tantra basically is symbols. Tantra is use of symbols. The arti that you do, the light that ritual of the light that you lamp, ritual of the lamp that you light, the flowers that you put, and the idol itself of the god that you worship, they are all part of Tantra. So Tantra is a ritual, a practice that helps you to connect symbols and use symbols as a means to go beyond. You use little experiences, little symbols. You communicate with an idol, knowing that this idol per se is not this infinite God that I'm talking to. But you're connecting through that. Almost all of us know this subconsciously, right? So when somebody says there's a lot of idol worship, it's not idol worship. You're using it as a symbol to connect to something infinite, something deep within. So that becomes a reflection. We go to the temple to get a reflection of the spirit. So in yoga, in this tantric path of Kundalini was part of the yogic tantra path. That's why it was considered secret, because it's not secretly hidden because it was dangerous or it was some mystical thing. It seems like that, right? Everything seems so clouded in mystery now in the past. And we can always say, oh, this was very mystical and people held a secret and now we are revealing it to the world. It wasn't like that. Because it is difficult to understand, there were very little people to explain it. Those days you didn't have these kind of online mediums and technology where you could explain in detail, step by step, which is what I want to do. Because I want to take away all this fear that surrounds around Kundalini. Even this morning I got a text which says, I'm so afraid of this Kundalini. I don't know, I've heard so many horror stories around it. This is the hype that's built around it. Somebody who didn't understand, and there is a method in every madness. Okay? Even in the Bhakti Marga, in devotion, Meera went crazy and she ran in the streets. She was a princess and she ran in the streets and sat with beggars and ate, and people said she's lost her mind. Look at her, what kind of path she is in. She's in a crazy path. Is this a path of devotion? God doesn't want you to leave the palace and run around half naked and crazy and jumping and dancing. And what is this? So is that a horror story that you will tell people? Devotional path is horror. Please don't go there. No, you don't. It is in that same context you have to understand the Kundalini Marga, the Kundalini path. One or two people may have had a wrong experience. I really don't know why and how. I just don't understand how and why anything can go wrong if these paths are divine paths, and if you practice it in the right manner, if there is a lifestyle that surrounds this path, then there can be no harm done at all, because there is a divine grace that is guiding this. You are awakening divine intelligence within you. This is a royal path. The Raja Yoga is a royal path to attain this. So it is never dangerous. Please take it from me. But if somebody chooses to believe, no, there is some danger, then fine. It's entirely your prerogative, I guess. That's the right word. But I don't believe it's dangerous at all. There is absolutely nothing to fear. In any path, if you go to the extreme and you want things very fast, and some idea that I want to progress, I want to realize God, and do some things extreme asanas can end in injury, but that doesn't mean yoga asanas are bad. No, right? So understand this in that context. So in Tantra, because of that mysticism involved, because of the symbolism involved, because of the complexities of understanding and visualizations, somebody had to teach this to people. And therefore they would say, come, you have to come to the ashram and you have to stay. I'm talking hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago. So a student deeply interested in understanding this. Not everybody is interested in the path of yoga, but there are some like you are interested and curious at first. Then you perhaps become more interested. So what happens is then they would be called to ashram. Then they will begin to live a lifestyle of intense sadhana, yoga, routine, pranayama, meditation, and begin to visualize. And then open their minds to a different dimension of existence. So the practice was confined to only a few ashrams, only a few places, because of the complexity involved. Complexity in the process of learning. It's as simple as that. You could learn English poetry in a classroom, but if you're going into medicine, you'll have to go and join a medical college and study 7-8 years completely, opening bizarre words and terms and terminology, anatomy, physiology, and medicine, and this and that. A layman will say, my God, this is crazy. What are you doing? Cutting open, this is dangerous, right? It's exactly the same way. This is one of the paths of spirituality. There is nothing dangerous about it if one approaches the right way. That is why I'm taking time to explaining these things little by little, step by step, so the clarity is there at every stage. And please don't hesitate to write to me or message me. My email is sundar@kyg.org. Sundar is SUNDER @kyg.org. I have to remember to put that email on this thing at the bottom. Anyway, or message me on Facebook, Sundar Iyer page, or send in a comment at the end of this video, because I can't see your chat right now. But and I'll be glad to make an attempt to answer that if it makes sense to me, and if I think I know something that might be helpful to you. So put your fears aside, take a deep breath, and be ready to spend lifetimes in this path. I want liberation in this lifetime. I don't want to come back again. That doesn't get you liberation. The more you want it, the more you'll be kept wanting. Why? Because you have to realize, I am already liberated. I am the Shiva that I am searching for. I am the God that I am searching for. I am already in that liberated state. That is the premise with which we start this whole process. Whether it is upasana, puja in the altar that you're doing, abhishekam to the Shivalingam or Dakshinamurti or Devi, or you're doing Shakti worship to Devi, practicing the Shodashi mantra. All of these start with this premise that this Shakti is just my own. I'm just reminding myself. This process is to begin to remember who I am. That is why Adi Shankara and we chant this early in the morning. Prata smarami hridi samsvarat atma tattvam. When I awaken, I begin to remember. Prata smarami. Smarami is I begin to remember upon awakening that there is a brilliance shining in my heart, going within. So that is what it is. So don't rush into it with a false sense of enthusiasm that I need to get liberated, I need to find God, oh, I'm going to find. Just take it easy and say, it doesn't matter if it's 5,000 lifetimes. At least I know that there is hope, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There was a story here. This is based on messages and emails that I've got. That is why I'm taking time to explain this. It's very important. There was a story here, a very beautiful story. Baba told us a story in one small little interview, in some context, very beautifully. He said there are two students sitting with the guru, and one person, I think it was a message for me because I kept nagging him the exact same way. When will I realize God? When will I get this, Swami? I'm doing so much sadhana, I'm doing all of this. And then he said, both of them were his favorites. And he said, both of you my favorites, but I have to tell you. And he looked at one boy and he said, you will get liberation after another 5,000 lifetimes. You still have a lot of samskaras and vasanas to clear, and you will get liberation after 5,000 lifetimes. And this boy said, oh my God, 5,000 lifetimes, please, Guruji, how can I do this? How can I survive another 5,000 like this, horrible lives and all of that? That was what that boy said. And then the Guruji didn't pay attention. She said, okay, I'm just telling you as it is. And then he turned to the other boy and said, you will have to wait 50,000. I love you both equally, but I'm telling you what it is. You have to wait 50,000 lifetimes. And this boy, this young student, shed tears of joy. And he said, I am so grateful. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And I'm going to look forward joyously. And I'm going to enjoy every lifetime, delving myself deeply into this practice with great joy. Because I know it is there. At least it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That story went home straight on that day for me. And that day onwards, I started saying, you know what? This is not just because I have this Josh, it's not going to work like that. Because I am myself in that wanting something is pushing it away, and I'm kept wanting. So I have to take it easy and understand that this path can go many lifetimes, and it's okay, it's part of the game. Why? Because I am already liberated. And the time when I come back knowing fully I am a liberated person, and I begin to live life and do whatever I want with that awareness, that's the life I want to be, right? What is liberation? Liberation is this breaking away from this conditioned mindset that I have to be born again, I'm going to die, I'm going to come back again. The I in me is never born, never dies. That understanding. And after that, how does it matter? How does it matter when you know who you truly are? That is why I talked about chakras being a whole dimension of reality will open. So what we are doing in this AUM is I'm still learning to use this whiteboard, so it kind of interrupts my thought process. So I have to learn how to gently blend with this technology and all. But let me finish this thought here. What we are trying to do is in this awakened state, in this lower chakras, if you will. I call it lower only because of our understanding, because this chakra, when we are in Swadhisthana and Mooladhara, the senses are most active. And so senses are giving us the sense of reality. This is real. Nothing more than that. That is because the consciousness is there. Correct? And so we are trying to fit in the understanding of the Sahasrara into this chakra. That is why they say that is why we talk of the whole concept of rising of consciousness and all of that. To understand, you have to let go of this reality and allow the other reality to open, and you'll realize, oh gosh, I was always here. This is who I was throughout. This is who I've always been. Once that is the most blissful realization. So learn this with a very open mind, with no false sense of enthusiasm, no fear. All of these the enthusiasm is very important, but not a false sense. Like, oh, I'm going to go full steam into it. Who is the Sundar is? The I is trying to understand I'm not Sundar. I'm not the body. I'm not happy. I'm not sad. I'm neither this. I'm neither that. I am just the I. And this whole universe evolves from me and dissolves into me. For many of us who may not have glimpsed into that, that might look boring. But here in this world, there is TV, there is TV shows, there is fun things to eat and sensual indulgence. There's so much joy here. Why give up all this? I have a lot of people also who write to me, not lots, a couple of my old friends. Why are you giving up all the fun in life to do these things? And I can't answer them. I keep thinking I'm having more fun than anybody can think of, if fun is the right word. Because what happens to a 5-year-old is when he is playing with the toys, that is his world. When you take the toy away from him, at first he says, no, I want my toy back. I want my toy back. Because the brain has not understood anything more beyond those little toys, those little toy trains going around, the colorful lights and signals, and his whole sense is occupied there. And then when he grows up, he begins to lose interest in that. Correct? He doesn't regret. He begins to lose interest because he has found other joys. Use that analogy in spirituality the same way. Once you begin to taste the joys of the spirit, your interest in worldly things will slowly die. And there will be years and decades perhaps spent, and I would think even lifetimes, going back and forth between this, the center of consciousness. It never closes. There's no such thing as, I have transcended Swadhisthana and therefore it will cease to exist for me. You will come back because you need senses. Right now I'm talking to you. I am. A part of me is in the Swadhisthana chakra talking. But with practice, what happens is, with the prana, in yoga, that's why they say, there is a pranic movement. Once the nadis are clear, the pranic movement happens. And therefore, in meditation, in bhajans, and any time you want, with practice, if you have led a yogic lifestyle, I keep saying with practice because be patient. What happens is then when you close your eyes and whenever you want, you begin to travel to these places and then stay there. Derive complete joy and peace. And then come back. There are so many homes that you and I have within us. That is the richness I want to share. That is the treasure that I've been blessed with. And it has nothing to do with how rich you are in this world or how healthy you are in this world. It has nothing to do with this body and this senses at all. There is an experience that is so blissful, that you feel so, to say that you will feel so rich and abundant itself is a misnomer. The fulfillment is so immense and so beautiful that you will not want to come back. But then it comes back. I don't know why. It just happens. Consciousness comes back and you are back here again. Maybe there is a deeper learning to be done. Maybe there is more to be done. Maybe there is a yearning in you to share. I don't know what it is. Right? So it is in that context that we approach these paths, and especially the path of yoga, where we begin with the asanas, pranayama, and the more regular you are at the practice, the more intensely you are mindful in your practice, and the more you begin to change your food habits, eating habits, understanding the links of these, understanding your link with the universe around you at that level of center of consciousness. Even in Swadhisthana, there is an awakened state, dream state, and a deep sleep state, and a Turiya-avastha. Each chakra has all of these Om states, because in each chakra, in each world, there are different dimensions you can get into. Correct? So that is what the beauty is. Enjoy this path. Enjoy life. You don't have to get to some place or go anywhere in this path. Being in the path is the beauty of it. Practice for the joy of it. Be completely at peace, and let every practice of yours, whether it's a practice of meditation, whether it is a practice of japa or repetition, let every practice be complete in itself, and get up from it fulfilled that you have done your best in that practice. And if you feel you need room for improvement, whether it is asanas or a little more mindfulness while meditating and bringing your mind together, then just become aware of it and say, okay, next time I will get to that. So it is with that we get into this path, we stay in this path, and I'll probably keep coming back to this because it's such an important thing to remember. It helped me in my journey, continues to help me in my journey, and I have come to believe now that being in the journey is being that goal. And because we are so used to traveling somewhere and reaching some place, we are looking to this idea of liberation or idea of Godhead as some destination we have to reach. and we don't have to come back anymore. It's never like that. Uh, at least the way I have understood it and known. It is not a state of a dormant. It's not a dormant or a static state. It's a very active, alive state. You keep your energy begins to move freely up and down, and you can move from one reality to another reality, each one being subtler than the other. And with Sadgurus like Sri Satya Sai Baba, with whom I lived for so many years, he could be in one dimension and yet correspond, talk to you in the dimension you and I can understand. That was the beauty of that. That is the power that even baffles me now. But that understanding and experience is slowly beginning to lighten up as I stay in this path. And it will, I'm sure, and it is perhaps already has in many of you, the ability to retain a part of you in that dimension and yet function in this world and handle all of this in your stride, because you begin to realize this is just a small, tiny part of what the higher consciousness is. In one meditation, in one very deep, such a travel, if you will, if that's even a right word, in this journey of meditation, I had a very clear understanding of Sundar, and this entire world around Sundar was just a couple of petals or so in the Swadhisthana. Just 2 or 3 petals fluttering. And that is what Sundar and everything that he stood for was all about. The rest of me was so much more. It was mind-boggling. It was so magical. Those are the moments your consciousness begins to expand. And it becomes like that of Shiva. Words fail me to try and explain that, but that's how it is. So when you when you come back with that realization, with that experience, then you say, "Arey, all of this that I'm doing here is just one small portion. So just let's give some portion of this full energy of mine. Some portion I will give and let life runs its course." So with this great understanding and experience, also when we talk of stress management and how come you don't get upset and all of that is taken care of in this awareness and understanding, right? So this brings us to that, to where we are in the slides. We are entering the Agnya Chakra, right? We were in Vishuddha Chakra. So real quick, we are talking of Mooladhara, 3 ohms of the Mooladhara, the 3 ohms of the Swadhisthana. In each ohm, I focus on first the location. Like I said, understand these at this point as symbolic. And being symbolic, you're paying full reverence to the symbol, paying full attention to the location. We are going to give it full as if it exists, but knowing that this is just a symbolic representation, a little window that connects me to that whole world out there. That is why I said, if that Swadhisthana is your window, look around you. This is the Swadhisthana Chakra expressing itself. That is what it is. If you're caught up in fear, anxiety, my God, I'm having health problems, I'm so afraid and all of that, too much of fear, then the Mooladhara is opening up and all you look around is only you're caught up in fear, security, how to survive, what to do. Think of the poor beggars in the streets who are only thinking of where is the next meal coming from, where to sleep, what clothes to wear, right? Their consciousness is stuck in the Mooladhara. That is why the practices go feed them at least the consciousness, give that consciousness a chance to come up. They look around and say, oh, there's more to life than just that. So that is how each one opens up. A whole different reality is there when your consciousness is in predominant, not completely in one place, predominantly in one place. So that is a window. And therefore, when we come back now talking about chakras, location and all, understand that I need to understand that clearly. The door has to be clear for me to enter through and then realize, oh, this is how it is. Right? If you have to go to Disneyland, you have to know the path to Disneyland. You have to know exactly where Disneyland is. But once you enter through the gates of the Disneyland with the tickets, then like a whole different world opens up. You and your children and your family are so happy. You enjoy all of that, correct? That is what it is. So we have to understand that. That's where upasana comes in. When we do tantric rituals like puja and all that, at some point we'll get to understand that also. The concept is the same, the spirit behind that is the same. So pay attention to the location of these chakras. Swadhisthana, Manipuraka in the stomach region. 3. First the location, then the element that is associated with that particular location. Predominantly located in your body, in that place. But it exists throughout, but the capital of that element is there. So in Mooladhara and below the Mooladhara, in the region of the buttocks and the legs and all of that, that's solid muscle and bone, correct? So it's predominantly earth element. Now there is blood flowing also, so there is water element also there, correct? Predominantly earth element. Then comes the Swadhisthana, area of the kidneys, urinary bladder, seminal juices and all of that. A lot of liquids are processed there. That is predominantly water element in the Swadhisthana. And we connected water to taste because of tongue always being moist. A dead man's tongue is not moist, correct? Only a live man's tongue is moist. When you're sick, what happens? You lose taste. Your tongue becomes dry, correct? That's why when you're sick, they keep saying drink water, keep hydrating. And they give you intravenous IVs. Why? Because of that same thing. Your water begins to dry up in the body. And that's not good. So they give you fluids. So water element connected to taste, taste connected to food and so on. So we'll explore all of this. Okay, I'm just setting. So when we revisit these classes, we got to, it might sound the same thing, but it just reinforces our learning. Then comes the Manipuraka, where it's located in the stomach region. Why? This is associated with the fire. Why? Because of digestive juices. It digests your body. Fire has that power to convert matter from one state to another state, correct? It takes wood and burns it, converts it, transforms it into ashes. It takes raw vegetables in your kitchen and you put it in the fire. It cooks it and transforms it in a manner that you can eat. Carrots and potatoes especially, you can't just take a potato and bite into it. I guess you can, but it's not going to be tasty. You're not going to like it. But fire is what transforms it, makes it soft, gives it to you. Coffee bean, fire is what makes it that delicious coffee and gives it to you. Fire is that ability to transform. So where is fire? What is getting transformed in our body? Food that you eat gets transformed into energy, and the gross matter of the food becomes fecal matter, gets transformed into fecal matter once the energy is taken out and passed out of the system. What does it? The digestive system does it here. So the fire, so it is associated with the fire element because it has that same quality of the ability to transform. Because think of the wind here. Wind goes in and comes out as wind. There's no transformation here, right? It comes, does its job, goes here. Food is the only one that goes in, gets transformed and goes out the other way, not comes out the same way. So there is all of that. Think about that. That is why fire element is associated in the stomach region. Wind, therefore, then becomes the lungs. That is why the Anahata chakra is, though we call it the heart chakra because of the placement of the heart, Hridayam, Anahata is the wind element. Why wind? Because of the breath that goes into the lungs, comes out of the lungs. And just as wind is most vital for our survival, the wind is associated with the heart chakra, Hridaya, and therefore all of our poetry and all of spirituality and all of this is the heart chakra opening. When we experience emotions, be it anger or be it love, be it hatred or love, all of these emotions, the spiritual love is different. But this is just emotions that we experience are all when in that 10% of your, I said predominantly you live in Swadhisthana, let us assume, and some part in Mooladhara. So Mooladhara and Swadhisthana begin to rule the basic reality of what your understanding is. But then you get openings into this. You get heart chakra fluttering and you experience emotions. You experience joy, you get tears, and all of this are heart chakra fluttering and opening. So it is considered very vital because emotions and then thought processes, all of that is linked with your breath. Okay, we'll examine this more. And so this is linked to the sense of touch. Just like fire is linked to the eyes, because the eyes can see only when there is light reflecting on it. It can see objects. In the darkness you don't see. So fire is related to the eyes, sense organ. There's another sense organ, we'll study that. But right now just understand this. And then we talk about the wind element. We come to the Anahata chakra located in the heart. We focus on the wind element because of the lungs. And then wind is not seen, so it can't relate to eyes. You can't taste it, it has no taste on its own, pure wind, right? It has no taste. It has no smell, so it can neither be any of these organs, but you can feel. Blow the wind on the back of your palm, I can feel it. I can feel my skin. If I want to know something is alive or not, I first touch. You touch the pulse to feel if you're healthy. You touch the pulse. You touch the cheeks to see the temperature. You touch. Touch is a very vital thing. Touch is what signifies whether Vayu element is active or not. So the sense of touch, especially the fingers, become an important sense organ connected to, actually skin is all over, but we use fingers as an important thing because the moment I say I want to touch this glass of water, I use my fingers only there, right? I don't use my elbow. So it's very important, sense of touch. So fingers, and we'll understand these as we go along further up. I just want to establish the base because mudras connect Vayu element. That is why I say fingers, because it's a sense of touch. Sense of touch is controlled to the wind element. Wind is controlled to breath. Breath is controlled to mind. And therefore, when you do mudras with your fingers, there is a high probability of you going all the way back through the breath into the mind and controlling your thoughts, directing your thoughts where you want it to be. Mudras have that energy. When you understand the power of this, that's why I keep saying yogic lifestyle that has to substantiate all of this understanding. Because when you understand the energy and the power, you will not use these hands and fingers to do things which are against your principles and your core beliefs, because then you're using the Vayu element in you. Like, for example, I point to somebody and say, she is always troubling me, or he is always troubling me, or this one, that one. I'm using my finger. My thought process is outside, my breath is going out, my Vayu is pointing out. And therefore, this finger tomorrow, then suddenly I want to go like this and say I want to meditate, and this mudra is not helping me. It's not going to help, because these fingers are used for all and sundry work. So think of how sanctified your life can become, and how mindful actually. That's a better word than sanctified. How mindful your life can become if you're aware of these connections and you begin to say, wait a minute, this is my fingers. These represent my wind element, my breath. My breath represents my thought. And therefore, how can I use these to reflect my thoughts? How can I use these to control my thoughts? This is how you approach the understanding of how I can bring all of that in every chakra, in every dimension. These will help. All right. Then we go on to and therefore you have the wind element, the sense of touch, and the location of the heart chakra. Then comes the throat, the only place inside your body, perhaps, where there is a region of emptiness. This is still opened outside, correct? The ears are not fully shut, but ears are connected here because of that space element. When you close your mouth, there is still an emptiness inside. Where the wind moves, space is there. Space is created for the breaths to go in and out. Correct? Space is the most subtle of all elements. And therefore the throat becomes a location to refer to space. That's why I kept saying that these locations are important, but they refer to something much larger. Use that as a reference point to understand consciousness is in space. Doesn't mean consciousness is stuck now in the throat chakra. I'm feeling an itchiness in the throat. Is that something to do with consciousness up here? Don't look at it that way. We will tend to do that because we are tending to, we always have the habit of bottling it down everything to in this dimension. Understand this. So space therefore is here, And what emanates in space? Sound. Only in the presence of wind can sound come. Understand that. But this sound, at first we understand it as sound, then we begin to appreciate it as vibrations. The unspoken sound, the unspoken energy. That is why I've said this earlier in some other presentation. I think it wasn't in Kaivalya Marga class. Sound exists in many, many forms. There is an unspoken sound that is communicated. There is a spoken sound that is communicated. We'll explore this when we talk about mantras. We'll explore the 4 kinds of sounds and all of that. So the sound that is not spoken, the sound that is murmured and whispered, the sound that is spoken, and all of that. So we will refer to that. I don't want to get technical here, but I want you to understand one fundamental thing when it comes to sound in this class is that there is vibration. So you might say, wait a minute, what is vibration? How do you explain vibration? Okay. So you have somebody speaking to you, 2 people speaking to you. Perhaps they talk on the same subject. Okay, similar subject. Let's say two people make a presentation on the same subject. Much like you have these elocution competitions. I used to do that elocution competition in my school days. We used to go down to the Ramakrishna Mutt. Parents would send me, and we would have, everybody is given a paragraph from Swami Vivekananda's speech, and everybody has to say the same thing. But somebody will be given the first prize, second prize, and so on. So what is there? What is that? What happens when 2 people say the same thing? To some extent, they talk of the same subject matter, and yet you lean to one person than the other. So examine what are the causes for you to do that. Number 1 is that when I listen to somebody, the subject matter he presents is good. The way he's presenting it, the way he's talking, his diction, his clarity of examples, anecdotes, all that is good. Oh, I like what he does or she does. So you like that speaker. That is only I'm quoting modern psychology here. And I believe that because they kind of touched upon what we understand as vibrations, as energy patterns, as aura, and so on. This is the other way of looking at it. So what they say is the actual words spoken, the presentations that you do, all of that is only 7%, 7+%, something around that, of the actual communication that takes place. So the sound element that we are talking of is all the entire sound, 100%. So wait a minute, but sound coming out, you mean the voice right now coming out of my mouth is only 7%? Yeah, it's only 7% of what I am trying to communicate to you or what you're getting. The voice actual coming through this recorded version or this live version. If you're seeing it later, it's going to be recorded. Right now it's live. So this is only 7%. Then comes another 23 odd percent, which is the non-verbal communication, which is called the body language. What is the body language of that person? You're watching that person, and that's why you like to watch the person, and that's why I like to make sure you have eye contact with me in the screen, because there is a lot of communication taking place from me to you, not at my conscious level, but at an unconscious, subconscious level. My body is hopefully joining in this communication. That is why you would go to a guru to learn. Why? Why this importance of guru? I'm not claiming I'm a guru, okay? Just giving an idea. Why did we want a teacher, a guru, a concept like that? Because the guru would live that life or do his very best living that life. And therefore, when he spoke about certain experiences, certain truths and all of that, when he was sharing that, his body would join in that effort, and you would get that non-verbal communication also taking place through the verbiage that is coming out of us. Otherwise, it will be a parrot, right? That's why you read online and you make bullet points and you say, this is what I got from here, this is what I got from there, these are my thoughts. You can get all the bullet points. It appeases you, but it doesn't go beyond a point, because you're not seeing his body, you're not seeing who is talking to you, you're only seeing slides, right? But when you get the body language, when you're listening and you are absorbing a different energy, and that begins to transcend whether it is recorded or whether it is live, that level of communication transcends that. But wait a minute, that is only 23%, and 7% became around 30%, right? What happens to the rest 70% in that communication? What is happening? That 70% is the vibration, the energy. When a person speaks of, let us say you go to a satsang and you're listening and you feel elevated, everybody feels elevated. There is an energy in the satsang. And there is joy. Nobody's telling you, be happy now. Now is the time to be happy. Okay, get elevated. Yes, good for you. Do that. All right. Nobody's saying that, right? But automatically listening to a song or listening to that, we do Hanuman Chalisa, and there are so many moments that I myself feel that upliftment because I feel the energy from the viewers, and it's vice versa. It's mixed. Those are called vibrations. Those vibrations take 70% of the communication. We understand that as the aura of a person, the vibrations from a person, the vibrations from the entire environment that is created at that moment. That survives time and space and all of that. You will feel that it is stored in ether. So when you watch a recording like this, 5 years later, the energy that was stored and created in this satsang, you will draw from that ether. It is stored. You will draw it directly from that. That's 70% of that vibration. And the rest of it you will get from the recorded version. Body language, words spoken, language spoken, all of that. But the energy is stored. That vibration will never leave. And that is why it is so important for me that when I'm part of this, I have to speak from my heart. This is exactly how Baba trained me. This is how it will be. Of course, I will. Like I said, I have the whiteboard, and we will draw and learn, and all of that is definitely there. But I have to feel it from me. If it doesn't happen, then it just doesn't happen. That's not who I am. I can't do something because everybody else is doing. In the spiritual path, it becomes like that. Because I feel it's very important that you feel the vibrations and understand, is this the path I want to take? This path sounds beautiful. And that is how I think teachings were done in ancient India. That is how Baba taught us. He sat with us. We were sitting at his feet. He spoke to us. But there was so much about him that we were able to absorb. His aura, his love, his energy, so much gone into every single pore of this body. And that is what begins to reflect in our everyday lives now. So this is where we are with these chakras. So when you talk of sound and space, please understand the sound is not simply a sound you're making. And therefore, you pay attention to the sound that goes into your body. Now, this sound is what? This 100% sound I'm talking about. When we talk of the ears, not just the sound from the TV, but the body language that is spoken in the TV. In other words, the visuals that accompany. All of that goes along with the sound. And the general atmosphere, the vibration that is created because of that program, that presentation, that movie, that vibration begins to go in. And that's why it arouses what? The wind element in you immediately. You feel happy or sad. You feel the emotions of the actor. And when they cry, you cry. When they laugh, you laugh, right? So immediately the sound goes in that entire vibration that he's creating goes in, and the emotions are evoked. That is how deeply connected we are with each other through these elements. We are connected through these elements, correct? The sound travels, vibrations travels from me to you, from you to me. And that is what it is. So we have to understand when these senses are linked, what is it that is coming in? What is sound that's coming in? So for your homework, think about each of these sense organs. See what kind of information is actually coming into my body through these senses. Then we'll add 5 more senses. It keeps getting on and on. Then we'll add planets that are connected to these chakras, to these elements. It's just magnificent and marvelous to understand, oh my God, this is what it is all about. Right? So then we go from here to the space between the eyebrows. Eyebrows, pardon my pronunciation. I'm a confused desi, if you will. You learn English in India, which was British English, and you come here and you get um, American way of speaking, I guess. And you're neither British nor American, and it's a mess. So bear with me. Eyebrows. All right. Data. Just goes. Anyway, so the space between. This is the location of the next chakra. Space between the eyebrows. Now this is a surface level. Now if I were to turn in and go inside and make a line from the middle of my palate, from the roof of my mouth, right from the middle, and draw a straight line and go, and this crisscrosses, right? Couple of inches, I would think, inside. I have an app. I don't know how to bring that into it to show you. It's an anatomy app that shows the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, which was considered the third eye. The pineal gland is again the reference point. This is a surface level, like I thought of the throat being inside, the organs being inside. The pineal gland is that reference point for the third eye. So when you want to think of the third eye, you aim for it from the roof of the mouth straight up. It's important to understand that from the roof of the mouth, from the center of the roof of the mouth, that's why you fold your tongue and you touch the roof of the mouth. That is why I said yesterday's Satsang, if you're not there, we talked about sounds, and sound from Ram, is actually vibrating the roof of the mouth, and that opens that passage to the pineal gland. Okay, this will all come with practice. So, and the ability, the more able you are to say the more clear you will be able to think. I'm sorry, this sounds weird and bizarre, but it is the truth. The ability to say is such an important part of pronunciation. You don't have to do that in English language when you say. I don't say happy birthday to you. Okay, sit here. I don't say that. I don't tell my name as Sundar Ayyar. I don't say that, right? In English. But when you're saying Sanskrit mantras, when you're talking Sanskrit and in your own mother tongue, if you're from India and you speak Indian languages, most of them have a R, almost all of them have a R. Say it clearly, that pronunciation. The ability to say R comes a lot. And you'll notice that when you do this, you try it at your homework, because it's too funny if you and I do it in live now, because I won't be able to hear you anyway. What happens is, if I say do it for long, like you breathe out, along with your exhalation, take a deep breath and go take a deep breath and go do it 3, 4, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, and after that your tongue will start getting paralyzed, if you will. You won't be able to say that. It'll get stuck, your mouth gets stiff. Just like any other muscle, it starts getting tired. So it's a very intense sound. The practice, therefore, is instead of doing it doesn't make sense. So they say Ram, 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 little by little, little by little, little by little, little by little, open this. That, why do you think it is said in our stories, Shiva meditated on Ram? Now, in terms of pure religion and not understanding the superficial level, you'll say Ram was greater than Shiva also. Even Shiva meditated on Ram. No, Shiva is known for his third eye. And his only way for him to keep that third eye open was a Ra mantra. Ra, Ram, 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 Ram. So his joy was being in that third eye. Because what does this third eye do? We will talk about it more in the next class. The third eye actually takes you above these 5 elements, opens the door, and begin to pull your consciousness upwards to different higher chakras, and in each chakra gives you a more and more dimension of what that chakra is capable of. The most fascinating place is the third eye. The most fascinating place that is the doorway. I think I finished the thought of Shiva. So that is why Shiva meditates on Ram, because of the mantra Ram, because of the Ra. Okay, so think about that, meditate upon that. Now, the third eye is the doorway. It's the doorway where you can begin to download higher experiences and hold it here. The moment your consciousness begins to come down, that experience will slowly go away. You may not understand this at this point, but in yogic terms, there are reasons why you want to prevent that experience from coming down. How do you hold it there? So there are practices, there are bandhas, there are mudras that are practiced in yoga with this intention of first prepare that, but keep practicing. You may not get that experience, but practice. When I get it, I have to have it ready, correct? It's like you buy the lottery, but you make sure you're ready. Okay, where do I'm going to invest? You have all that plan ready in place, because once the lottery comes, you got to put it all in place, correct? It's the same thing. So these practices help you in preparing yourself to receive that experience. That is why I started this class by saying there is nothing to fear. These are beautiful, most beautiful experiences. Journeys to the self is the most amazing journey. And as much as I can, I will share with you step by step in very clear terms what this journey is all about, what this path is all about. And if you blame me for being slow, I will take it, and that's perfectly okay. I would rather be slow and clear than be excited in covering more topics and giving you all that information, showing you how much I learned and what my great experiences were, and you will be like, wow, and then there will be nothing to take home. Every class, I want to give you enough food for thought for you to meditate and contemplate upon. So in this class, as homework at the end of this class, I want you to take home this part. Think of sounds. Think of this verbal sound, then think of the body language, every sound that comes out of you through your mouth, and think of this environment and the energy that is escaping. That energy stays with you and that goes into the ether. That is why when people constantly say something negative, you will say, I don't want to be there, yeah. It just brings me down, it bogs me down, I want to go away, right? This is what it is. So think about what happens, what is the sound you are creating? What is the aura that you are sending out in the non-verbal fashion, in the vibrational pattern, which is 70% of the communication that is constantly taking place with your presence. Simply by your presence, 70% is taking. That is why being close, samipyam, is so important. Being close to a teacher, going to a gurukulam and staying. This is why that concept of gurukulam is why I opened this gurukulam. Not because staying close with me is important. No, not that way. But being close with each other, there is a lot more communication that takes place that no technology can match. No, it cannot match. You are getting this vibration that is stored in the ether, yes. But if you are in the presence, and if I see you and you and I exchange this aura, then there is transformation taking place 100 times faster, 1,000 times faster. So we'll see how the universe plans and how all of this manifests as we go along. If not this lifetime, next lifetime. I'm going to let the universe guide us. There are beautiful people in Trinidad, beautiful places in Trinidad that are opening itself to us. But we will see how the universe guides us, how all of this happens. Because when you form these kind of gurukulams and the ashrams, we are creating an environment for learning. Perfect were all the 5 elements. There were reasons why ashrams were set in particular places, and it just goes on and on. So I want you to do this for homework. Focus on the sound, meditate on the sound, and then from next class, we will speak less of the other chakras, because the less spoken the better. The 2 other chakras, we'll just touch upon it and then go back to the Mooladhara and have some beautiful videos and clips to share from the wonderful temples that I visited, and we'll begin to enhance this understanding and revisit the chakras and understand our true yoga anatomy. Thank you so much for your patience and for joining in this class. Such an honor to be sharing these amazing principles and concepts with you all. It gives me the greatest pleasure to do so, and I will continue to do so. Thank you. Let's bring this class to an end with 1 Om and 3 Shantis. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shantihi.